Hello friends! Today we are gonna create a full-stack AI chat application using React, Node.js and MongoDB. Here is our homepage. When I click here, it will open the dashboard. Of course, we have to be authenticated first. And here we have all the previous chats. I can create a new chat. As soon as I do that, it will open the chat page and generate the answer. Let's see one of our previous chats. Here is the chat history. And the best thing is, we'll send all this history to the AI. So whenever we visit this page, it's gonna remember everything. We can also send an image, and the AI will describe all the details. For this project, we'll be using the latest version of React. You'll learn to create layouts, protect routes, build your Backend API, handle data fetching and mutations, implement AI chat streaming, and more. And for this tutorial, we'll be using Google Gemini, so you won't have to pay anything for the AI. And after creating our application, we'll deploy it using Hostinger. As you know, it's the hosting sponsor of the channel, and I create different projects using Hostinger every month. And for this project, I'll be using VPS hosting, because it's a full-stack application and we need to deploy our backend server. And the best thing is, you can deploy all your full-stack applications on a single server. And these servers are super fast because they use NVMe SSDs and one of the most powerful processors. Let's choose the most popular one, and if you use the link in the description and the Lama Dev coupon code here, you will get an extra discount. After purchasing, you are ready to set up your server. You can choose any location, you can install any of these server panels, but as always, I'll be using the cloud panel. Let's add the panel password and the server password and finish the setup. It's gonna take a while, and after that it will be ready to deploy your applications. So if you are ready, let's create our app and deploy it to our server. Okay, I created a new folder, and inside this folder, let's install our React application. I'll open my terminal, and to install a React application, I recommend you use my GitHub repository. You can find the link in the description, and in this repository, we have the starter branch. At the end of the video, I'm gonna add here one more branch, and it's gonna be the completed version. But for the beginning, we are gonna need this starter branch. It's an empty React project. We don't have any unnecessary files. As you can see, it's empty. There is no unnecessary HTML elements. And here we have all the images we are going to be using during this tutorial. And for this tutorial, we will be using the latest version of React, which is React 19. So even if you watch this tutorial in the future, when you use the same starter branch, you will not have any problem. So let's clone this project. By the way, this is an open source project. You can use it wherever you want. So I would appreciate if you could give a star for this project. After doing that, you can come here and copy this URL. And right here, git clone and this URL. But the better way is fork this project. Because when you do that, it's going to create a new repository on your account. As you can see, this is my test account. If I fork, it's going to create a new repository on my account. And using your own repository, you can push your changes and it will be much easier to see your progress. In this case, you can come here and copy this URL and clone your project. I'm going to be using my main account, and I'll say dot and enter. Okay, our folders are here, but we don't have the dependencies. Let's install npm install, and they are here. So we are ready to start our application. I'll say npm run dev. So let's visit this localhost. And it's here. I don't want to hurt your eyes. I'm going to quickly give my background color. Let's open up the source folder. And here we have the index CSS. I'm going to select all elements. Firstly, I'm going to delete the padding and margin. And I will say box sizing, border box. As you can see, there is no space anymore. We don't have any padding and margin. I'm going to give my background. It's going to be this color. And the text color will be this light color. Let's change the font family. I'm going to be using System UI. And perfect. I want to also change my link styles because by default their color will be blue. To prevent this, I'm going to select all the links and I will say text decoration, none. And the color will be inherited from the parent. Okay, let's close here. And let's see what pages we are going to create. To do that, I'm going to open my example. Just like that. As you can see, this is our home page. When I click here, we are going to see this dashboard page. And all our chats will be here. If I click on this, as you can see, we are on the single chat page. And this is our chat ID. And also we are going to need the login and register pages. Otherwise, we won't be able to see this dashboard page. So basically, we are going to have 5 pages. Let's create them. Inside the source folder, I'll create another folder. And let's say pages or routes. And the first one will be homepage. And inside homepage.jsx and CSS. Another route is going to be dashboard. I'll say chat page. Inside this folder, we are going to have chatpage.css and JSX. And finally, sign in and sign up pages. Okay, I'm going to close everything and let's open up the home page. I'm going to create my React component. To do that, I'm going to be using my shortcut arrow component CSS. As you can see, it automatically adds our CSS here and gives a class name. If you want to see my snippets, you can open up my GitHub repository. What was the name? It was snippets, I think. Okay, it's here. So you can see all my shortcuts here. Just copy everything inside this file. Open up your snippets. Write your extension. We are using JSX files. So I'm going to be choosing this one. And as you can see, all my shortcuts are here. Okay. So let's do the same thing for the others. Okay, our pages are ready. Let's close them. And close here. But how we are gonna navigate between our pages? To do that, we are gonna need a routing library. And for this project, we are gonna be using the most popular one, which is React Router DOM. Here is the documentation. If you are on the home page, just click here. And let's see how we are going to create our routes. Firstly, we are going to need our library. Let's install. I'm going to create one more terminal here, and I will say npm install react router DOM. But there is something important here. When I create this tutorial, the new version of Next.js is not stable, so you might have some problems when you install libraries. To prevent this, just come here and use the force flag. After the stable version of React 19, you don't have to do this. I'm gonna enter. And during this process, let's see what we are gonna create. As you can see, we will create our browser router. And inside, we are gonna pass our URLs. For the home page, it shows this element. But in our project, we already created our home page. We are gonna pass our component here instead of this HTML element. And for this about page, it's showing this again. We are gonna show our component for the dashboard. And after that, we are gonna be using this router inside this router provider. Let's do that. I'm gonna copy here, open my main JSX, and instead of app.jsx, I will paste my router provider. And let's create our router. I'm gonna copy this, paste here. I can delete this, by the way. Let's import. And for the home page, we are gonna show the home page component. For the dashboard page. Okay, why it's not coming? Oh, okay, it's here. And since we have two pages inside the dashboard, as you can see, dashboard and the single chat, and also the main page of the dashboard. So I can write here a children array, and inside I'll say path. It's going to be dashboard, chats, and a single chat. Remember, we are using here a unique ID, and the elements will be our chat page. By the way, we don't need this. Let's import our page. And let's see. This is the home page, dashboard page, chats, and any ID here. It still shows our dashboard page because I have to move this here inside my array. I will create one more object here. And as you can see, our chat page. Okay, it works. This is how we are using React Router DOM, but there is something important here. As you can see, we have a navbar here. When I open any chat, again, it's here. And for the home page, it's still here. Basically, it's going to be our common component. So when we create our navbar component, instead of using this for each page again and again, we can create a layout and send our pages as a children. What I mean by that? Let's create a new folder here. I'll say layouts. And the first one will be root layout. I'm going to create my CSS and JSX. And here I'm going to create my navbar. Let's say header. And we have two sections, this logo and the user information. We are going to take care of this later. Let's create our logo. I'm going to be using React Router DOM link. And when we click on our logo, we are going to be redirected to home page. To do that, we are going to be using to and the home page. Okay, let's create our image. It's going to be logo.png. And I'm going to create a span and the title of your application. And after this header, let's create a main component. And here we are going to pass all our pages. To do that, we are going to be using React Router DOM outlet. And I can use my root layout inside my router. So let's open up the main JSX. Let's delete everything. And let's write our main element here, which is root layout. I'm gonna import. And after that, we can write all the children we have. I'm gonna write my first path. It's gonna be the home page and the home page component. So whatever I write inside this children is gonna be here. So for each page, we'll be able to see our navbar. Let's see. I'm gonna come here. And as you can see, the navbar is here. This is how we are creating layouts. What about dashboard? Again, we have a common component here. Our menu is here, but when I open up my chat, again, it's gonna be here. So instead of writing this component again and again, we can create our dashboard layout. Inside layouts, I'll say dashboard layout. .css and JSX. And here, I'm going to create my menu and one more div, and it's going to be our content. Let's say menu, and here is going to be outlet. Let's use it here inside our main file. So I'm going to create one more children, and the element will be dashboard layout. Remember, our navbar is still here. This is why we are using this inside the root layout. And I will say children. The first one will be dashboard. And I'm going to create one more. And here is going to be chats and the chat ID. Just like that. Let's see. Okay, we have only navbar here. If I visit the dashboard, as you can see, we have the menu. And for the chat page, our menu is here. This is what we want. So let's give a style for this root layout and our navbar. Remember, we have a class name here. Firstly, I'm going to give a padding 16 pixels from top and bottom and 64 pixels from left and right. Just like that. And my application will be full screen. So let's give a height 100 VH. And inside this layout, we have the header. If you remember, we have here our user information. So let's come here and create a div here. For now, I will just say user. And to show them horizontally, we are going to be using display flags. I'm going to center them vertically and separate them horizontally. Space between. Just like that. What about this logo? I'll give here a class name. Let's say logo. And inside the header, Again, display flags. I'm gonna center them. Font weight will be bold. And gap between our image and title will be 8 pixels. Let's give a size for this image. Just like that. What about this main div? Inside root layout, I will say main. Let's give a background and see what we have. As you can see, it ends here, but it should contain all our screen here. To do that, I can give a flex box for the parent, and my items will be vertical. So I can say flex direction column. And if I use flex 1 here, it's going to contain all our main div. Okay. Let's remove this. I can give overflow hidden. And let's close them. Right now we can take care of the home page. But before doing that, let's implement the authentication so we can see our user information here and we can protect our dashboard pages. To do that, we are going to be using Clerk. You can find the link in the description. And when you click the link, you are going to see this page. And why are we using Clerk? Because it's the easiest way to authenticate our users. We don't have to worry about security, we don't have to worry about complex implementations, tokens, sessions, or email verifications. Clerk does everything for us. And it's completely free if you have less than 10,000 monthly active users. So even if you have more than 10,000, it doesn't count if they don't log in. And it's a really generous free tier for this kind of platform. So let's log in. And after that, you'll be able to create a new application. Let's give a name. And here we have many options. You can choose any of them, but I'm going to choose only Google and email. Let's also say GitHub. And the best thing is you'll be able to use all these social logins immediately. We don't have to take any token. We don't have to write any configuration. So let's create. We are using React. Let's see. Firstly, we are going to add our publishable key. Let's copy this. And inside the root folder, I'm going to create a new file and it's going to be .env. Let's paste it here. And if you are using an env file, make sure that it's inside the git ignore file. Otherwise, when you push your project to GitHub, everybody will be able to see your publishable key. So let's edit here, .env. I'm going to save and close here. And after that, we are going to install our library. Let's copy this, open our terminal, and I will paste it here. And since we are using React 19, I'm going to be using the force flag. And after that, we have already added our publishable key. And inside the main file, we can add these lines. If we don't have any key inside the env file, we can throw an error. Just like that. By the way, this is how we are adding env variables. Import meta env and the variable name. I'm gonna save. And finally, we are gonna wrap our application with this Clerk provider. And after that, we'll be able to use our user information everywhere. As you can see, it wraps the entire application. But since we are using React Router DOM, we are going to wrap our root layout. So let's copy here and open our layout. Let's import. By the way, we can use it here right now. I'm gonna save. And after that, we can show our user information inside this header. To do that, we are gonna be using Clerk's pre-built components. Let's check the example. As you can see, if we are signed out, we are gonna be showing sign in button. And if we are authenticated, we are gonna be using this user button. Let's copy here. And I'm gonna paste it here. And as you can see, sign in button is here. Right now, when I click on this button, I'm gonna be redirected to sign in page, but we don't have yet. Let's come back. I'm gonna click here, react.js. We have already installed our library. And after that, we are gonna create our sign in and sign up pages. And inside the sign in page, we are gonna be using this component. It comes from Clerk React. Let's open up our sign in page. It's inside the routes, sign in page. And I'm gonna paste it here. Let's import. I will do the same thing for the sign up page. Just like that. Right now I can add my routes into the router. I'm gonna close this terminal and I'm gonna add my sign in and sign up pages here. Let's say sign in and every children of this page. And sign up. And that's all. Inside the root layout, actually, we are not gonna need this button because in the home page, as you can see, we have this button. When I click here, it's gonna open up the dashboard. But if we are not authenticated, let's sign out. As you can see, we are not in the dashboard anymore. And we are not allowed to see our dashboard or chat page. Let's try to open up this chat. We are in the sign in page. So how we are gonna protect our routes? It's really easy. I'm gonna close everything, open up my dashboard layout. And here, I'm gonna be using use auth hook, and it's gonna give me my user ID. Const user ID comes from use auth. As you can see, Clerk React. And also, it shows the loading status. If it's loaded, it's gonna be true. And after loading, if we are authenticated, we will be able to see our user ID. So I can write here my condition. Whenever I visit my dashboard, I'm gonna run this effect. And I will say, if the loading process completed, but if we don't have the user ID, that means we are not authenticated, so we will be redirected to sign in page. To do that, we can use navigation hook, const navigate, use navigation. It comes from React Router DOM. And we are going to be navigated to sign in page. Let's write our dependencies. And for the loading process, we can show any component, skeleton, whatever you want. But I will just say, if it's not loaded, return loading. I will just show this text. Let's give a link on our homepage quickly. It's going to be temporary. I'm gonna come here, click on my link. Oops. Not navigation, it's gonna be use navigate. Let's get rid of this. Let's come back. I'm gonna refresh, click here, and as you can see, we are not allowed to see our dashboard layout. Dashboard, chats, and any number, and again, we are on the sign-in page. Let's quickly center our component here. I'm gonna select my class name. I will just say height 100%, display flags, and I'm gonna center vertically and horizontally. Just like that. And when I click on this button, we should visit our sign up page. So I will say sign up URL, just like that. Okay, let's do the same thing here. And when I click on this button, we are gonna visit our sign-in page. I will copy here and paste. And I will say sign in URL, just like that. Okay, perfect. Let's log in. And right now I can see my user information here. I can manage my account. I can update my profile, change my address, or connect to other social accounts. Okay. So right now we can design our homepage. Let's come here, close everything, and open up our homepage. Let's see our example. I'm gonna close them. And on the homepage, as you can see, we have two sections, those texts and our animation here. So I'm gonna create two divs. Let's get rid of this. I will say left and right. Inside the left, we have three texts. This title, H2 tag, H3 tag, and this button. Let's write here anything and some random words here. And let's create a button. And I will say get started. Let's open up our CSS file here. Homepage. It's going to be display flags because our items will be horizontal, left and right items. Let's center them. And gap between each item will be 100 pixels. Height will be full screen. And I'm gonna give exactly the same size for the left and the right div. Since we are using display flags, I can say flags 1, flags 1. So half of the screen will be left and the other half will be right. Let's center everything here. Our text will be vertical, so let's say flags direction column. Align item center, justify content center. And gap between each title will be 16 pixels. Let's center our text. Just like that. What about our title? I'll say H1, 2, and 3. And button. Firstly, the size will be bigger, and I'm gonna give this color effect. As you can see, it's changing. To do that, I can give background, linear gradient. It's gonna start from the left to the right, And let's write our colors. The first one will be blue, this color, and the second one will be this pink color. And to give our effect, I'm going to be using background clip. It's going to be text. For Chrome, I'm going to be using WebKit. And the text color will be transparent, so we can see our background. Just like that. I'm not going to change here. It looks great. Let's change this one. It's going to be smaller. I'm going to delete this. And the font weight will be 400. And I can decrease its size. I will say maximum width 78%. Okay, it's much better right now. What about our link? Actually, let's make it a link, not button. I will say to dashboard. So instead of button, I will say anchor tag. I'm gonna give some padding from top and bottom, left and right. Let's change our background color. It's gonna be exactly the same color here. Text color will be white. I'm gonna give border radius 20 pixels. Font size will be smaller. Just like that. I can give here a space. And when you hover over, you can change its color. This time, the background will be white and the color will be this blue color. Just like that. Let's check here. As you can see, there is an image behind. Before this left, I'm gonna add my image. Let's give a class name. And after everything, I'm gonna write my class name and the position will be absolute. I will say bottom 0, left 0, and its opacity will be 0.05. It's gonna be barely visible. Just like that. And I can give an animation here. As you can see, it's turning. So I'll say animation. It's gonna take really long, 100 seconds. The timing function will be linear. It's gonna be infinite, so it's not gonna stop. And let's give our animation name. Rotate orbital. Let's create our animation here using keyframes. I'm gonna write my animation name. And at the beginning, when it's 0%, transform, rotate, and it's gonna be 0 degree. And if it's 100%, its position will be rotate, let's say 60 degrees. You can write here anything you want. And as you can see, it's turning slowly. This is what we want. What about other section? As you can see, we have this container which includes this background, this image, and this animated text. Let's do that. Inside the right section, firstly, I'm going to create my image container. And inside, we are going to have two items. This animated background and this image. So again, a container and our background here. And after that, our image both.png. So this is going to be our animated background. As you can see, it's moving from left to right and right to left. And also we are going to give animation for this image. And this is here. We are going to take care of this text later. let's give our animations inside the right div. Again, I'm gonna center everything. Height 100%. And I'll say image container. Again, I'm gonna be using flexbox because our image should be on the center of our container. So let's center. I'm gonna give my background color. It's gonna be this color. Let's give border radius 50 pixels. And I'm gonna give width and height. Let's say 80% and 50%. Let's see. Okay, it's not here. Oh, I didn't save. Okay. Our image is too big. I'll give here a class name. Let's say 100%. And the object fit will be contain. Just like that. And again, I'm gonna give an animation. It's gonna take 3 seconds. Is in and out. At the beginning and ending is gonna be slower. Again, infinite. And I'll say alternate. So after finishing the animation, it's gonna do exactly the same thing backwards. And let's give a name. So I will create one more. Again, 0 degree. And here is gonna be really small. Let's say -5. And also I'm gonna give scale effect. At the beginning it's gonna be 1, which is 100%. And here is gonna be 110%. So it's gonna be bigger. Just like that. Okay, what about our background? Inside the image container, we have the BG container. Again, it's gonna contain all our div. If it overflows, it's gonna be hidden. And I will say position absolute, top 0, left 0. And again, border radius will be 50 pixels. And remember, if you are using position absolute, your parent should be position relative. And let's add our image here. I'll say background image. And it's gonna be bg.png. And I'm gonna decrease its opacity. It's gonna be 20%. It's not here because we didn't give any width and height. Let's say 200% and 100%. Just like that. But it's too big. Background size, auto, and 100%. So it's gonna be full height and full width. Okay, perfect. Let's give our animation. It's gonna take 8 seconds. Again, is in out, infinite, alternate, and let's say slide BG. This time I'm gonna give translate effect. It's gonna move on the x-axis. At the beginning it's gonna be 0. And here is gonna be -50%. Just like that. Right to the left. After ending, left to the right. Okay. What about this text? As you can see, there's a typing effect here. First, human asks. Then this bot answers. Let's close here. And for this effect, we are going to be using a library. And it's going to be React type animation. Let's install. I'm going to add here F. And we are going to import type animation. And inside this component, we are going to write our sentences. The first sentence. And after typing this, it's going to wait 1 second, second one, 1 second, another one, and the others. And we can also give here a speed, repeat, and any style. So let's copy this. And after this bot, I'm going to create a new div, let's say chat. I'm going to add my component here. Let's import. And also, we are going to need this image. It's going to be human. So let's create here an image. Again, bot.png. We are going to change this later. Let's close here. Okay, this is too big. Let's open up our homepage CSS. After this bot, I will say chat. It's going to be position absolute because we are going to show it somewhere here. So let's say -30, -50. Our image and text will be horizontal. So I'm going to be using flexbox, and the gap between items will be 10. Let's give a padding and background color. And finally, border radius. Let's take care of our image. It's going to be smaller. It's going to be a circle. And the object fit will be cover. Okay. As you can see, it changes only this last word because our texts are not different. So let's say human bot, human and bot. Actually, the first one will be, let me refresh this guy. After, we are going to get the answer. And after that, we are going to add this woman. So let's say human 2. I'm going to refresh. As you can see, this is what we want. But it's too big. Let's give a style. Actually, there is the reason why it's big. I'm going to delete this. Speed will be the default speed, which is 40. We are going to see the cursor effects. I'm going to refresh. Perfect. But I don't want to see this deleting effect. Omit deleting animation. I'm going to refresh. As you can see. Okay, this is what I want. And what about our images? After each animation, let me close here, we can return a callback function. And we can make some changes here. Let's create here a useState hook. Const typing status. useState hook. And at the beginning, it's going to be human1. And after the first animation, I can set my typing status. After the question, it's going to be bot. And after this answer, it's going to be human2. And after this question, again, it's going to be bot. And finally, human1 again. Let's make them 2 seconds, by the way. And right now I can write here my condition. I will say if the typing status equals human1, we are going to show human1.png, or what was the name? Okay, not png. If not, I'm going to check again if it's human2. And finally, if it's not, it's going to be bot.png. Of course, here is going to be question mark. Let's see, I'm going to save, refresh. As you can see, human1, bot, human2, and bot. This is what we want. And finally, I'm going to add this section, this logo, and those links. I'm going to close here. And again, its position will be absolute, so I can write it here. Our logo and links. Of course, we don't have them. Let's just say homepage. And let's open up our CSS. I'm going to come here and say terms. Again, position absolute. Let's say 20. I'm going to center this horizontally so I can use left 50% and transform, translate x minus 50%. As you can see, they are on the center. Let's separate our items. Flex direction will be column, align item center, and gap between logo and links will be 20. What about our logo? It's going to be smaller. And finally, our links. By the way, I'm going to add here a pipe. Just like that. Let's separate them. The text color will be gray, just like that. And the font size will be really small and perfect. Of course, it's not responsive right now. What we can do, we can come here and use media query, media screen, and I'm going to write here my condition with maximum width 124. Flex direction will be column. And remember, we gave here 100 pixels. Let's say 0. So let's come here, open our console. As you can see, it's vertical, but at this point, it's going to be horizontal. Let's change this size and get rid of this typing effect. I'm going to copy this for this H1. Font size will be 64. Let's increase here. I can change here. It was 70%. It's going to be 100%. We are not going to give any space. And for this chat, I will say display none. Perfect. At this point, I'm going to change it again. This time I'm going to change its position. just like that. Okay, this is how we are using media query. We finished our homepage. Let's take care of the dashboard. By the way, I can't click here because our image is over everything. Where is our image? Here. I'll say C index -1. Okay. Let's log in. I'm gonna close here. By the way, after the login process, we should be redirected to dashboard, not the home page. So I'm gonna open my login page. And I'm gonna be using force redirect URL. And it's gonna be dashboard. Right now, after the successful login, we'll be redirected to dashboard. Let's see what we have here. Let's create our menu. I will open my sidebar, and inside the source folder, let's create a new folder, components, and I will say chat list. And I'm gonna use it on my dashboard layout. Let's see what we have. We have this title, some links, HR tag here, and after another title, and here is gonna be our chat titles. And finally, another HR and this div. Of course, we don't have any pro option, but let's create. I'm gonna close this menu and I'm gonna create a span. Let's say dashboard. I'm gonna give a class name, title, and we are gonna have 3 links. Create a new chat. To the dashboard and 2 more. Let's say explore and contact. I'm gonna create an HR tag here. After that, we are gonna have our list. Of course, we are gonna fetch them from the database, but for now, for the test purpose, let's create a link. I'm gonna add some more. And finally, let's say upgrade. I'm gonna add my image, which is the logo. And after that, we are gonna have 2 texts. Let's add them quickly. Okay. Let's give a style. This is our main div. Firstly, everything will be vertical. Flex direction column. Height will be 100%. And inside we have the HR tag. I'm gonna delete the border. Let's give a height. Background color. I'm gonna reduce the opacity. It's just gonna be 10%. Let's give border radius. And finally, I'm gonna give a space from top and bottom. Okay, it contains all our screen here because we didn't give style for the dashboard layout. Let's see what we have here. Remember, we have the menu and content. Let's make them horizontal. I'm going to open my CSS. Display flags. I'm going to separate them. And also I'm going to give padding here. Just like that. And I'm going to give different size for the menu and the content. It's going to be flags 1. And the content will be 4 times bigger than this menu. So let's say 4. I can also change my background color, and it's going to be this dark color. Just like that. So let's take care of our menu. Remember, we have title here. I can close them. And also I'm going to add here one more title. Just like that. And let's write here title is going to be thicker, but the size will be smaller. And also I'm going to give a space here. Just like that. Let's separate our links. Okay, it's not links, it's list. Again, flags box, column. And if it overflows, we'll be able to scroll. Because we can have hundreds of chats, if it overflows, we'll be able to scroll. Let's give a style for our links. Firstly, I'm going to give a padding and border radius. And when we hover over, we are going to change the background. And it's going to be this color. Just like that. What about here? Let's move it to at the end of the div. I will just say margin top. So even if we don't have that many links here, as you can see, it's still at the end of the div. And let's give flags box, align item center, gap, font size will be small. For our logo, let's give width and height. And finally, our texts here, they are going to be vertical. Let's choose our span. And for each child, I'm going to give different colors. So let's say the first child is going to be white, but the font weight will be bigger. But for the last child, I'm going to change the color. Okay, why they are not vertical? Because I said text is going to be texts. Okay, awesome. We finished our menu. What about here? Let's see what we have. We have 2 sections, this form and these texts. So let's close them and open up the dashboard page. I will say texts and the form container. Here, I'm going to add my logo. Again, let's say image, logo.png, and h1 tag. And after that, I'm going to create my options. We are going to have 3 options: create a new chat, analyze images, and help me with my code. So let's create an option. Inside each option, we are going to have an image and a text. Let's create 2 more. Image, code, And finally, I'm going to create here a form which includes this input and this button. Let's give here a placeholder. Ask me anything. And finally, a button. And inside we are going to have this image, this arrow. Let's open our menu. And let's give a style. As we always do, I'm going to give 100%. Display will be flex direction, and I'm going to center them. And after that, texts and form container. And again, this container will be at the end of the div. Remember how we are doing this. Margin top, auto. And the rest of the container will be our texts. So we can use flex1 here. Let's center our items. Of course, it's going to be vertical because we have this title here. But its size will be smaller, 50%. So it's not going to contain all our content. It's going to be 50%. Let's see. Okay, they are here. And the gap between our title and those options will be 50. Okay, let's take care of our logo. Align item center, gap between image and text will be 20. And I'm gonna reduce the opacity 0.2. And inside we have the logo. Let's say 64. Just like that. Let's increase this font size and give this color effect. After the image, I'll say h1 tag, and I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. Remember, we gave here background, but this time font size will be smaller. Just like that. Let's make those items horizontal and decrease image sizes. After this logo, I'll say options, 100%, display flags, align item center, and justify content will be space between. Let's give a gap, just like that. For a single option, I'm going to give a border. But before, I want to take care of this image. It's too big. Okay, let's make them vertical. Gap between image and text. I'm gonna give font weight. Font size will be smaller. And let's give a padding and border. Just like that. I can give a border radius. Okay, perfect. But as you can see, sizes are different. If I write here flex1, they are gonna be equal. But why it's big? Oh, I was using zoom. It's 100% right now, and it looks perfect. So what about our container here? Let's give width, again 50%. I'm gonna give background color. Border radius will be 20 pixels. And display will be flags. Just like that. And what about our form? Inside form, we have the input, we have the button, And inside button, we have the image. Let's give a size. Okay. And let's separate our items. I will say width 100%, height 100%, display flags, align item center, and justify content will be space between. In any case, I'm going to give a space here. And also, I want to give a space here. I will say margin bottom 10 pixels. Okay, what about this input? It's going to contain all our div here. So I will say flex 1. I'm going to give some padding. Background will be transparent because by default it was white. I'm going to delete this border and outline. And I'm going to change the color. The text color will be this color. Okay. And what about this button? I'm going to give a background color. It's going to be a circle, so it will be 50%. I'm going to delete the border. We can click, so I will say cursor pointer. Let's give a padding, just like that, and center our image inside. Let's give a space here. Margin right will be 20 pixels. Okay, so when we write anything here, it's going to create a new chat and it's going to open our single chat page. And let's see what we have inside. We are going to have our messages here. If it belongs to user, we are going to see it on the right side. If it belongs to AI, we are going to see it here on the left. And again, we are going to need our form container here. But in this case, we will be able to also add images. When I click here, it's going to open my folder and we can choose any image. And also this color is different, as you can see. We are going to do it using this unique ID, but for now, it can stay like this because we don't have any database yet. Let's create our chat wrapper here and our form. I will close everything, open up the chat page and CSS. And here is going to be our wrapper. And inside, I'm going to create one more container and it's going to be chat. I'm doing this because we'll be able to scroll here. Let's create a message. And I'm going to say message. And I will create one more, but this time it's going to be message and user. So here is going to be from AI and here is going to be from the user. Just like that. So let's add some more items here. And I'm going to open up my CSS here. Copy my main div, as we always do, 100%, display flags, flags direction column, align item center, and inside we have the wrapper. I will say flags 1 because it's going to contain all our div. And I will say if it overflows, scroll, width will be 100%, display flags, and justify content center. Okay, but this wrapper contains all our component here. We set 100%, but for the chats, the width will be 50%. So we will be able to scroll using the wrapper, but our chats will be on the middle of the screen. Let's separate our items. And for each message, I'm going to give a padding. And if it's the user, we are going to see it on the right side. And also I'm going to give a background. Border radius 20 pixels. And I'm going to give maximum width, and it's going to be 80%. So even if our text is too long, it's not going to start here. It's going to start somewhere here. And of course, I'm going to align this to the right side, which is flex end. Just like that. Let's write something long. As you can see, it's 80%. Okay, and when we open this page, it shows the first message, but we should see the last message here. So it should automatically scroll down. To do that, I'm going to add here a div. After the last message, let's say div. And I'm going to add here a useRef hook, const andRef. useRef hook that comes from React. And I'm going to pass it here. Whenever we render our page, we are going to select our div here, and we are going to scroll down. So I'm going to be using useEffect, andRef, current, and scroll into view. And I'm going to write here its behavior, and it's going to be smooth. So it's going to scroll down slowly. Let's see. I'm going to refresh. As you can see, it automatically scrolls down. This is what we want. And after that, I'm going to add here my form. But to do that, I'm going to create a new component, because if we use it here directly, it's going to re-render our entire component whenever we receive a new answer from the AI. To prevent this, let's create a new component. I'll open my menu. Inside components, I'll say new prompt. The CSS file and the JSX file. And I'm going to use it inside my chat page. Actually, let's write it here. Just like that. Right now I can close them, open up new prompt. And inside I'm going to create a form. Let's say class name, new form. And inside we are going to have 3 items. This image label, this input, and button. Label. We are going to give here any ID. And this ID will represent our file input. Type will be file. We can choose only single item. So I'll say false. But if we do that, we are going to see this file input here. But instead of this component, we are going to be showing this label. So I will say hidden. But if we click on this label, it's going to open our file input. That's because we attached them using this ID. So I have to write here my ID. And inside, let's add our image. And after that, let's create one more input. It's going to be text. And our button. Again, image arrow.png. So when I click here, as you can see, it opens my folder. Okay, let's give a style. I'm gonna copy this, open my CSS. Inside we have the form. Again, it's going to be 50%. I'll say position absolute, bottom 0. I'm going to give a background color. It's going to be this color. Let's give some radius, 20 pixels. And I'm going to make them horizontal. Gap between each item. And I will give a padding from top and bottom, left and right. And let's take care of the images because they are too big. Remember, this is inside the label and this is inside the button. Let's choose them. Firstly, they are going to be circle, 50%. I'm going to give a background color. I will delete the border. Some padding. And I'm going to center my images. So let's say align item center, justify content center. And let's choose images. Give width and height. Okay. I will also give cursor pointer. And what about this input? I'll say flex 1. So it's going to fit inside our form container. By the way, it's not 50%. We are going to handle this, but before, let me give some padding here. Delete the border and outline. By default, its background color is white. I'm going to remove that. And the text color will be this color. Okay. But why it's not 50%? It's 50%. By the way, we don't need this parent div. Let's actually use React fragments. And I'm going to open up the parent div, chatpage.css. And since we are using position absolute, the parent div should be position relative. And perfect. By the way, we cannot see our last message. To prevent this, you can give here a padding. But what I want to do is, I want to create here a new div. And let's say end of the chat. And I'm going to give a padding here. That because when we add a new message, we are going to show it in this component somewhere here. So here is going to be the end of the chat. So we can give padding here. Let's come here. I'll say end chat and padding button. Just like that. And also I can use my scroll effect here instead of the parent. Remember, in the chat page, we use this ref. Right now, I'm gonna delete this. Let's cut here and paste inside our component. And I'm gonna use it here. Let's import. I'm gonna save and remove them. Let's see. Okay, this is what we want. So when we add here a new message, it's gonna automatically scroll down so we can see our question, answer, and image. And when I click here, we'll be able to choose any image. After that, we will send that image to AI, we'll get the answer, and also we should upload our images and store the image URL in the database. Because when we visit this chat page later, we should be able to see our chat history and previous images. To do that, we are going to be using ImageKit. It's a great platform that you can upload your images, resize them or crop them, and everything is real time. And also it has a really generous free tier So we can upload thousands of images for free. Let's check the documentation. There are many options here. Let's choose React. And firstly, we are gonna need ImageKit React SDK. Let's scroll down. I'm gonna zoom in. And let's install this library. I will open my terminal. npm install. In any case, I'm gonna be using the F flag because remember, we are using React 19 and it's not stable yet. After the stable version, you don't need this. And after that, we are gonna need the endpoint and public key. Let's open up the dashboard. After the login process, you are gonna see this page. Let's scroll down, find the developer options. And this is my URL endpoint. So when I upload images, it's gonna be using this endpoint to display images. Let's copy this. Open our env file. And I will say with ImageKit endpoint. And we are gonna need our public key. Let's copy. Public key. And there is a private key here, but it has to be in the backend. Don't use it in your React applications. Let's come back and let's see how to upload images. To do that, we are going to be using our backend application and we are going to create this endpoint. So whenever we try to upload an image, firstly, we are going to check the authentication using this private key. And after the verification, we will be able to upload our images using ImageKit React components. As you can see, this is our first component. We are going to wrap our uploader using this component. We'll pass our endpoint, public key, and finally, we'll be using this component to upload images. Let me show you and you are going to understand better. Let's turn back, close everything, and right now I'm going to create my backend server. And it's not only necessary for uploading images, we'll also store all our chat history in the database. So we are going to need multiple endpoints, like create a new chat or add a new message. We are going to take care of them, but before, let's see how to upload images. To do that, I'm going to create here a new folder, and I will say backend. Actually, we can move our React application into the client folder. Let's do that. I'm going to terminate here and move everything inside this client folder. Okay. So I will say cd client npm run dev. So let's create our Node.js application in the backend folder. I will say cd backend. I'm going to initialize my Node.js application npm init -y. Okay, and I'm going to create my main file. Let's say index.js. So we are going to run our Express server inside this file. I'll say start node index.js. Let's say console log. And if I say npm start, as you can see, it works. But if I make any changes, I cannot see it here. I have to start it again and again. To prevent this, we are going to install nodemon. Right now, I can come here and change here. Let's start again. Oops. npm start. As you can see, test2 is here. If I change, we can see our changes immediately. Okay, right now I'm going to open up a new terminal. Actually, let's open here And I'm gonna install my Express server. npm install express. And after that, we can create our Express application, import Express from Express. But as you can see, our app crashed. That's because we cannot use import export by default. To prevent this, I'm gonna come here and say type, and it's gonna be module. And I'm gonna create my Express application. Let's define a port number first. Const port process.env, port number, and if it doesn't exist, it's gonna run on localhost 3000. Let's create our app, Express function, and let's listen our port number. App.listen the port number, and I can write here any callback function, and I will just say console log server running. As you can see, this is how we are creating Express app. Right now, let's create our first endpoint. I will say app.get method, and I will say test. We will get the request from the client and return a response. Let's send a message. So I'm gonna come here and let's test our endpoint. Localhost 3000, and I will say test. And as you can see, our message is here. So this is how we are making requests. We can also make a post request. In this case, we will be able to send our inputs from the client. So when we send a message, we are going to be using a post request. We can use put or delete. We are going to make a get request, and let's say upload. Actually, I can write here API endpoint and upload. And let's turn back to documentation. Here, as you can see, we are going to need this library. I'm going to copy npm install image kit. And after that, we are going to need our endpoint, public key, and the private key. And since we are using a backend server, we can use our private key here. Let's come back, open up our env file. I'm going to copy them. And inside my backend server, I'm going to create a new file, .env, and paste them here. This time we don't need this width. And we are going to need our private key. Let's close here. Let's come back. I'm going to click here. Copy my key and paste here. Okay, let's create our instance. I will copy this, paste here, process.env, and endpoint. Let's do the same thing for the others. Public key and private key. Let's import this. And after that, we are going to call this function and return the result. Of course, we are going to be using const here. Just like that. But there's a problem here, that because our application cannot read the env file, to prevent this, I'm going to open up the package.json and write here env file, and I'm going to write the location. It's in the root, and its name is .env. I'm going to save. Okay, there is still a problem. Okay, you have to restart. Right now we can verify our authentication and upload our images. To do that, I'm going to open up my client. Inside the components, let's create a new folder and file. I'll say upload.jsx. Let's turn back. I'm going to copy here and paste. By the way, we don't have any CSS. I'm going to delete here. Let's add our endpoint and public key. Let's remember again. And public key. Okay. I'm going to write my endpoint here. 3000 API and upload. After that, if we are not authenticated, it's going to send this error. If everything is okay, we will get our token and we will be able to upload our images. Let's come here and use this context. And inside the upload component, I'm going to copy this and paste here. If there's an error, you can handle it using this onError function. Let's create them. As you can see, we have for status onError, on success. If it's successful, it's going to return our image detail. You can check the progress and on upload start. Let's copy them. Paste here. There are many options that you can use, but we are going to be using use unique file name here. So you don't have to worry about giving a unique name. And let's copy them also. Just like that. And that's all. Let's save and try. If everything is okay, we are going to get this response. I'm going to open my new prompt component. And I'm going to change here. It's going to be the upload component. I'm going to save. As you can see, our file input is here. I'm going to click, choose this image. Let's open our console. And as you can see, there's a problem here. That because our endpoint doesn't allow us to make a request. To prevent this, inside the backend, I'm going to be using a library called course. npm install course. Let's come back here. And let's import this first. Import course from course. And after that, app.use course. And I'm going to write my configuration here. And it's going to be origin, HTTP. And what was our port number here? Actually, let's use it inside the env file. Client URL. Just like that. Because when we deploy our application, we can directly change this env file. So I will say process.env and client URL. I'm gonna refresh, choose any image, and as you can see, it has started. We can see the progress and it's successful. Let's see. We have all the details here, but we are gonna use this file path. As you can see, our image is here. Right now, we can display this image using this file path. Let's come here and see how to display images. Here. As you can see, we are going to need one more component, and using this component, we we are going to pass our image path, and after that, we'll be able to resize our images. We'll be able to crop them, change the quality, or whatever it might be. So let's copy this. And inside the new prompt, I'm going to close here, by the way, for now. I'm going to create a useState hook. Const image set image useState. And we are going to have an object that includes is loading. At the beginning, it's going to be false. Error is going to be an empty string. And let's say data, or let's say database data. And when we upload our image, we are going to pass our details here. So let's pass this function here. Take this as a prop. And if it's successful, update our image. But before, when we start uploading, I'm going to change is loading is going to be true. I'll say take the previous values. Don't change anything, but is loading. Oh, of course, our component is here. Okay, so I can do the same thing here. This time I'm going to update my data, and is loading will be false. And db data, and it's going to be this response. Right now we can use our image here. I will come here and say if image.dbData and file path exists, call this component and pass here URL endpoint. Remember, it's inside the env file. And I'm going to pass my file path. Just like that. I'm going to save. Let's check this again with ImageKit endpoint. Okay. I'm going to close here. Choose a file. And as you can see, our image is here. By the way, if it's loading, we can show here some text. If image is loading, I will just say loading. After we can create a skeleton here. But for now, it can stay like that. And also we can give here a specific width or height. Right now, it's much smaller. And if you inspect your image, you are going to see that its width is different, but it uses the original file. If you want to resize your image, you can use transformation here. And our transformation will be width and 380 pixels. Let's check again. I'm going to choose my image. Let's choose this one, loading. After our image is here, let's inspect. Right now you can see that our width is different. So using this transformation feature, you can optimize your images and make your applications much faster. Okay, I'm gonna close here. By the way, let's change this file input. Remember, we were using label. Let's do the same thing. I'm going to open up upload, and here I'm going to change its style, and I will say display none. And I can create here my label. Remember, inside we have the icon, and when we click on this label, we should run this component. To do that, we can use a useRef hook. I will say const ikey upload ref. And I'm gonna use it here. And whenever I click on this label, I'm gonna call my upload component using this ref. And I will say click. It's gonna automatically run this component. Let's try. I'm gonna click and perfect. This is what we want. Okay guys, this is how we are uploading images. So let's take care of the AI part. For this project, I was thinking using OpenAI, but there is no free option for ChatGPT. And I want to make this tutorial for everyone. So instead of OpenAI, we are going to be using Google Gemini. I know most of you are used to ChatGPT, but there is not that much difference between Gemini and OpenAI. And it has a free tier. As much as I know, it gives 1 million token per minute. Let's write here. Pricing. Okay, as you can see, it's free of charge. 1 million token per minute. And this is incredible. That means we don't have to pay anything for our small applications. By the way, there is something important here. If you are living in European Union, UK or Switzerland, you need to give your card information. You don't have to pay anything, you will just add your card just like Firebase. But for other countries, you don't have to do anything. And if you don't want to give your card information, you can simply use a VPN. This is what I'm doing right now. So let's come back and create our API key. I will click here, new project, and let's copy this API key. I will come back, let's close everything by the way, and everything here. Okay, I will open my env file, and I will say with Gemini public key. And let's see how to use it. I'm going to open up the documentation. Let's say quick start. We are going to be using React. So I'm going to use Node.js. And as you can see, we are going to need this library. I will copy, open my terminal. I'm going to open the client. Remember, this is where we store our React application. And I will say npm install f and Google AI. And after that, we are going to pass our public key here. And finally, we will create our model. Let's copy this. And inside the source folder, I will create a new folder. And let's say Gemini.js. I will paste it here. I will say import env, and what was the name? Let's copy this and paste here. By the way, we are going to be using import. Just like that. You can use the Pro version also, but this is the fastest one. I want to use Flash. And this is how we are creating our AI request. We are sending our prompt and we are getting this response. Let's try. I'm gonna come here and export my model. Just like that. So I can use it everywhere. By the way, you can write here some safety settings. Let's search for it. As you can see, you can limit your answers. Let's choose Node.js and copy here. I'm gonna paste it here. Let's import them. and let's pass it here. Okay, our AI is much safer right now. We are ready to use our model. Let's close here and here. I will open my new prompt component. Let me close this menu. And let's test. Let's remember again how we are using. I'm gonna copy this. I'll say const add async function, and I'm gonna paste it here. Let's import our model. Okay, it's not coming. Let's import here. And we are gonna console log our text. Let's create here a test button. Okay, it's under the end of the chat. I will move it here. I will open my console. And when I click here, I'm gonna run this function. Let's try. I will click. And after a while, as you can see, it writes this story. Right now, let's make this dynamic. Instead of this prompt, I'll create here a use state const question set question use state hook. At the beginning, it's gonna be an empty string. So when we run our form, we are gonna update our text. I'm gonna remove this, and I will write here on submit event. Let's say handle submit. Async event. We don't want to refresh the page, so I'm going to be using event prevent default. And to reach our text, I can give here a name. Let's say text again. And using this name, I can reach my value. So I will say const text event target the input name, which is text, and value. I will say if it's empty, don't do anything. I will just return. So we cannot send an empty string. And after that, I'm gonna call the add function and send my text. Let's take this. And we don't need this anymore. Instead, I'm gonna update my question. And let's say answer. Actually, I can create one more use state, and it's gonna be answer. I'm using these states because we are gonna be using them here. We will show our messages. So let's say set answer and this text. I can show my question and answer here. After this image, I will say if there's a question, write here a div. Remember, in the chat page, we were using message and user class names. And we show them on the right side. By the way, I can close here. And the answers will be only message, not user. Let's use our question here. And one more. And it's gonna be answer. We don't need this user anymore. Let's see. I will say, what is AI? I will enter. As you can see, our message is here. By the way, I'm gonna give a space here. And we don't have the answer. Let's open our console. Request is not iterable. Let's give this space, and after I'm gonna check that, I will say chat page, and I'm gonna give space here. Okay. And because I'm trying to send this prompt, which we don't have, I'll say text. I will refresh my page. What is AI? As you can see, it's not scrolling down. We are gonna fix it. But as you can see, our answer is here. But it uses this markdown message. It's hard to read. To make this more readable, we are gonna be using a library. I will say npm install react markdown. Let's import. And I'm gonna pass my answer inside this markdown component. Just like that. Let's see right now. What is AI? And as you can see, we have to wait a little bit, and after it sends the completed version of our response, and it looks much better right now. And also we can give space between our p tags here and our list items. Let's open up chat page again. And inside the chat, I'll say p tag and li tag. Let's give margin. From top and bottom, 0 from left and right. Okay, it's much better right now. So let's change our scroll effect. Remember, we are using this use effect, and I will say if there's a new answer or question, or if there's an image. So when we add a new item, again, we are gonna scroll down. What is JS? And as you can see, after the answer, we are at the end of the div. So what about images? Let's come here. As you can see, we can use image input. To do that, we are gonna need the information of our file. Actually, you have two options. First, you can upload your image, send it to Google, and wait for the answer. But the second option is much faster because it reads your local file without uploading, without waiting, and it directly sends the response. We are gonna need the code version of our image and also its type, like PNG or whatever it might be. And we are gonna send this data to our model. As you can see, we can send our text and images. So let's do that. Of course, this example belongs to a Node.js application. We are using React, so we are gonna make some changes here. Let's come back, open our upload component, and if you remember, we have onUploadStart function here, and inside this event, we have the local file. So let's choose that file. I'll say const file event target files, and we are going to upload only one file. So I'm going to choose the first one. And after that, I'm going to transform this into a React function. Let's actually copy this and ask here. I just wonder. I will say transform this to a React function. And as you can see, this is what we need. We are going to read our file and we are going to get the information which includes our file data and the type of the file. But there is one more thing here. If you remember, we are setting our image. Let's do it inside that function. It can stay like that for now. So I will say const reader new file reader onload, and you don't have to memorize anything here. We are just using this code for the Gemini AI. So firstly, I'm gonna set my image here. Is loading will be true. And also, I'm gonna send the information of my file. If you remember, inside the image, we have the database data. I'm gonna add one more, and it's gonna be AI data. So I will say AI data. Inside, we are gonna pass inline data. Okay, I can't see because we didn't store them. We don't have a database yet. But if I remember correctly, we are gonna need the data and the type. It's gonna be reader result. I'm gonna split this result and take the second item, which is the code version of the image. And here is gonna be file.type. And here we have to write reader, read as data URL, and file. Okay, right now we can send our AI data. Let's do that. I will come back. And inside generate content, let's remember again. We can send our prompt and images. But of course, we should check first. If it's empty, that means we don't have any image. To do that, we can use object entries image.ai data. And I will say if it's not empty, send the image AI data and text. And if it's empty, just send text. Let's come back. I will refresh my page. I will choose an image. Let's choose this one. It's loading. And I will say, what's that? And as you can see, the answer is here. Let's see again. I'm gonna choose this one. By the way, after sending, I should reset my image. Otherwise, it's gonna be a conflict. So let's say set image. It's gonna be the initial image. Just like that. So let's try again. And perfect. And our image is not here anymore. But don't worry about that. After sending our message image and after getting this answer, we are gonna store them in a database. After that, even if we write here different question, adding new image, we will be able to see the previous conversation. But before, let me show you one more thing. I will write here, write a story. And as you can see, we have to wait for a while, and after it sends the entire answer. What you can do here, you can show a loading indicator, but the better way is using a stream. After that, when we ask our question, it's gonna answer word by word, just like ChatGPT. Let's see how we can do this. By the way, this is how we are creating a chat. We can send our message history. So even if we visit our chat page in the future, it's going to remember our conversation and write the answers according to that history. And also you can give here maximum token, so it's going to generate shorter answers. Let's copy this and paste it here. We don't have any database, so we can leave them like that. We are not going to have any token for now. So instead of generate content, we can use chat and send message. So it's going to be exactly the same thing. I'll ask a simple question. As you can see, this is exactly the same, but we have a history. And here, we can use streaming for the faster interaction. So I'm going to copy here, and instead of send message, we are going to send message stream. And after that, it's going to stream the result and send the answer word by word. Let's copy here. And we don't need this anymore. Let's change this name. And use it here. And I'm gonna move this inside this loop. I will save. And let's see. Write a story. I will send. And as you can see, it looks much better. It's that easy, guys. This is how we are sending our questions, images, and how we are getting the result stream. But if I refresh the page, everything is gone. We don't have our chats, we don't have the history. So right now, we can create a database and store everything inside that database. For this project, we are going to be using MongoDB. So I'm going to visit cloud.mongodb.com. And I'm going to create a new cluster. Give here a name. You can choose AWS, Google, or Microsoft Clouds. Let's choose Amazon. You can choose the closest region. It can stay like that. And here, I'm going to choose the free option. So we don't have to pay anything. I'm going to create. It's going to take a while. And right after that, we are going to connect to our database. To do that, I'm going to choose drivers. And here is our connection string. I'm going to copy this, close everything here, open my menu. Right now, I'm going to close this client, and inside the backend env, I will say Mongo and paste this URL. After that, we should create a user. As you can see, I already have a user and its password here. And finally, we are going to give a network access. And here you can add your IP address, but for the development, we can access from everywhere. After deploying our application, we are going to write here our server IP. Let's check. Okay, I'm going to click here. And when we create our database, we are going to see it here. But before, let's connect to MongoDB. To do that, we are going to be using Mongoose. As you can see, we are going to pass our connection string, and after that, we are going to create our models, and we will be able to make our CRUD operations. Let's open up the connections. I will zoom in. Of course, first, we should install this library. By the way, I'm going to write here my password. This is the username. And also, here I can add my database name. Let's say AI Chat or whatever you like. So let's close here and open our index file. Let's write our connection here. I'll say const connect async function. I will use try catch block. If there's an error, we'll console log, and I will say await mongoose. Of course, we didn't install. Let's install. This is the client. I'm going to open up the backend and npm install mongoose. Okay. So I will say mongoose.connect. I'm going to pass here my connection string, process.env, and mongo. And let's write here something like connected to MongoDB. And whenever we run our server, we are going to connect to MongoDB. I'm going to save. Let's open the terminal. And as you can see, server is running and connected. Okay. Right now, I'm going to create my collection models. To do that, I can create a new folder. Let's say models. The first one will be chat, and the second one will be user chats. So basically, we are going to store our messages inside the chat collection, and each chat is going to have this unique ID, and using this ID, we are going to fetch our chat and see all the history. So let's create our model. I will say import mongoose. And I will create my chat schema. New mongoose schema. And firstly, each chat has a user ID. Its type will be string, and I will say required. And after that, each chat has a history, which includes our messages. So let's say history. And inside each message, we are going to pass the role and our parts. Remember, inside our AI, I will come back. Let's scroll down. Okay, here. As you can see, each history item has a role and parts. Inside the parts, we are going to have text, which is a string. And this role will be either a user or model, nothing else. So let's create. Actually, I can say it's going to be an array. And inside, we are going to have objects. And each object has a role, which is a string. And I'm going to write here my options. It's going to be user or model. And I will say required. And after that, we are going to have parts. And inside parts, we have the text. Type will be string and required. And also, when we send a message, we can add any image here. Of course, we cannot send it to our history, but anyway, I will say image, type will be string, and the required will be false. And also, when we create a chat, we can add our timestamps. I will come here and say timestamps and true. Let's export our model. I will say export default. Firstly, I'm going to check my database. Models, If it exists, we are going to take it. If not, we are going to create a new model. I'll say mongoose.model. Its name will be chat. And we are going to pass here our schema. Just like that. So I can do the same thing for the user chats. Oops, we are inside user chats. It should be chat. And here is going to be user chat schema. Actually, let's say chats. Okay, let's decide what we are going to have here. In our application, remember, inside the menu, we have all the chat titles. And again, I'm going to give a user ID because using our user ID, we'll be able to fetch all these chats. So it's going to stay. And I will say chats array. And inside each chat, we are going to have the chat ID, its title, and the created at date. So let's get rid of here. I'll say ID is going to be a string and required. We are going to have a title. Again, string and required. And here is going to be created at date. Its type will be date. And by default, we are going to use the current date. Okay, right now using our models, we can create a new chat. When I write here something and send, we are going to make an API request and send our text. Let's create our endpoint. I'll open up my index file. Remember how we are creating endpoint? Right now, I'm going to create one more. And since we are sending a data, our request should be post. And I will say chats. Let's remove here. And how we are going to reach our text? Remember, we are sending request and our text is inside request.body. So I will say const take the text from request and body. Let's see, I will say console log. I will open my console. Let's open our component. We have the handle submit event here. Right now, I'm gonna comment this out and I will create a request. I'll say await, fetch. I will write my endpoint 3000 API and chats. Let's write our configuration. The method will be the post method. We are going to send a JSON file. Application JSON. And inside the body, we are going to send our text. Let's say json.stringify. Text will be text. Since we are using exactly the same name, we can send it like that. Of course, if you are using JSON, you should accept that on your backend. To do that, we are going to be using one more middleware here, and it's going to be express.json. Right now, we can send our text. Okay, let's try. By the way, this is the new prompt, but it should be the dashboard page. I'm sorry, I made a mistake here. I'm gonna cut this, take this back, and open up my dashboard page. Okay, our form is here. I will say on submit. Let's create quickly. Const handle submit. Of course, we don't want to refresh the page, so I will say prevent default. And after that, I'm gonna take my text, event target text.value. If there is no text inside our input, we are not gonna do anything. If we have, we are gonna make this request. Of course, I should give this name to my input. Just like that. Okay, let's try right now. I will say test. I'm gonna send. And as you can see, it's on our backend. This is how we are making requests. Right now, we can create a new user chat and a new chat. I'm gonna close them. So let's remember what's inside the chat. We are gonna add our user ID. And inside the history, we are gonna create an object. It's gonna be user, and this text will be our text. And after creating this chat, we are gonna check first if we have a user chat or not. If we don't have, we are gonna create a new one. And inside this chat array, we are gonna add the chat. But if we already have before, we are just gonna push our new chat here. When we create, you are gonna understand better. Let's remove this. And I will say try catch block. If there's an error, console log and send an error message. Response status, let's say 500. JSON or send, doesn't matter. Error creating chat. Okay. And here, I'm gonna create a new chat. Const new chat. And remember, we are gonna need the user ID and the history. And inside this history, we are gonna add a role. It's gonna be user. And inside parts array, we are gonna have the text. But there is something important here. We need our user ID. For now, we can take it from the user. But of course, this is not secure because everybody is able to send a different user ID. To prevent this, we are going to be using Clerk. But for now, for the test purpose, let's take it from the user. And I'm going to pass it here. And after that, we can save our chat. Save. Of course, it's an async function. And let's write here async. Okay. Let's write here comment. Create a new chat. After creating, we are going to check our user chats. If we created chat before, we are just going to push it inside the chats array. If we haven't created before, firstly, we are going to create our user chat, and after we are going to pass our chat here. I will say check if the user chats exist. So I will say const user chats await user chats dot find, and we are going to find our chats using the user ID. The user ID should be this user ID. Again, we are going to change it later. And I will write here my condition. If we already have, we are just going to pass our chat. If not, we are going to create a new one. If user chats doesn't exist, we are going to create a new one, const new user chats. And inside user ID will be user ID, and inside the chats array, we are going to create a new object, and its ID will be this saved chat ID, and the title will be our text. But there is something important. If we write here a long text, it's going to look weird here. To prevent this, we can take this substring. So I will say take the first 40 characters. Of course, it's not an object. Okay. And after that, I will say else. And I'm gonna write here my command. And here, just like that. And I will say await. By the way, I didn't save. Let's say await new user chats dot save. Okay. And here is going to be user chats model. And I will say update 1. By the way, I couldn't import them, I think. Okay, they are not here. I will say user chats from models, user chats. And here is going to be chat. Okay, there's something wrong. I have to write here JS, I think. Because we changed our module type. As you can see, there is no problem anymore. Right now, I will come back. And I will say user chats dot update 1. As you can see, our options are here. And here, firstly, I'm going to find my chat. And after, I'm going to send what I want to update. To find our chat, again, we can send our user ID. And after that, we are going to push our chat inside this chats array. To do that, we can use the push method. I will say chats array. And inside this array, we are going to pass the chat ID, saved chat.id, and the title will be, again, this title. By the way, here is going to be underscore. And let's check our models again. I hope I didn't make any mistake. It's here. Okay, here is going to be capital. This is correct. Okay. And after that, if everything is okay, we can send our new chat ID. Just like that. We are doing this because when we send any text, we are going to be redirected to chat page. This is why we need this ID. Okay, I hope everything is alright. There is no problem here. Let's open our component again. Dashboard page. We are going to send our text, and also we need our user ID. Remember how we are taking this. I will say const user ID. It comes from use auth, and it comes from Clerk React. Okay, right now I can send it like that. Let's try. I'm gonna open my MongoDB. As you can see, this is the initial example. We don't need this anymore. And as you can see, our collection is here, but it's empty. Let's create a new one. The first chat. I will send, and let's check. Okay, there is something wrong. Validation error. By the way, here is going to be capital. Let's check our model. Okay, it should be a comma here. It's not a type. Let's check again. It's running. I'm gonna send. As you can see, there is no problem. Let's check our MongoDB. I will refresh my page. And as you can see, our chat is here inside the history. Role user, inside parts, we have the text. And its ID ends with 0AE. Let's check. And it's here. Okay, it works. Right now, instead of sending our user ID directly, we are going to be using Clerk's Node.js library and verify our user. So right now, I'm going to delete here. And after this post, I will say credentials include. So we are also going to send our cookies, and using that cookie, we are going to verify the user. Let's open up the documentation. Let's scroll down. And as you can see, we can use Clerk in our Express API. We are going to need this library. Let's copy. And inside the backend, I'm going to install. And after that, inside the env file, we are going to pass our public and secret keys. I'm going to close this client, open up env, and paste it here. And finally, we are going to need the Clerk middleware. Let's click here. We have two options here, Clerk Express with auth and Clerk Express require auth. We are going to be using this one, and if the user is not authenticated, it's going to throw an error. Let's see. Remember how we are making request, the endpoint, request response, but before this, we are going to call our Clerk middleware. It's going to verify our user. If we are not authenticated, it's not going to come here. Instead, it's going to send an error. And if we are authenticated, we will be able to take the request, make our CRUD operations, and send the successful message. Let's do that. I'm going to copy here and paste inside my API endpoint. But before, since we are sending our credentials, we should accept this here. If you remember, we are using course here. Right now, I'll say credentials and true. Okay, after that, I'm gonna write my middleware here, just like that. I can delete them. Let's import this. Like that. And if there is an error, we can handle that using this error handler. Let's write it somewhere here. I'm gonna save. And before creating any chat, let's make a test. I will create here a new endpoint app.get API test. I'm gonna call my middleware. And after that, request response.send. Let's say success. Let's test it on our home page. I will create here a button. After this link, I'll say button test backend auth. And I'll say on click. Let's say test and create here quickly our function. And I will say await fetch request our endpoint. And remember, we are going to send our credentials. Just like that. Let's write here console log. And if we are not authenticated, we are going to console log this error. Okay, I will save. Let's open up the home page. I will click. Let's turn back. And as you can see, it's successful. But if I'm not logged in, let's log out. I'm gonna try again. And this time, we are gonna get this unauthenticated error. And if it's successful, we'll be able to use our user ID here. I'll say const user ID, and it's gonna be inside our request auth.user ID. Let's see. I'm gonna log in. Let's turn back and click. And as you can see, our user ID is here. Right now, instead of taking this from the client, we can directly use this ID. Okay, I'm gonna comment this out. I will take this back. I can close here right now. And let's take our user ID. Okay, let's test. I'm gonna save, open my dashboard, and create a new chat. I'm gonna send. Let's see. Inside the chats array, as you can see, we have the second chat. And right now, our application is more secure. No one is gonna be able to see our chats. So right now, let's fetch our chats inside the menu. Let's come back, close everything, and open up the index. And I'm gonna create one more endpoint. I'll say app is gonna be a get method because we are just gonna fetch data, API, and user chats. Again, we should be authenticated. After that, I'll say async request response. I'm gonna take my user ID and try catch block. If there's an error, we are gonna send this. And using this ID, we can fetch our user chats, const user chats model, and I will say find and pass here my condition. User ID will be user ID. Since we are using the same name, I will just leave it like that. And after that, response status 200, and I'm gonna send my chats. But remember, inside our model, we have the chats array, so we can send this one. So I will say, take the first item and send chats. If you want to, you can use here find one, so it's not gonna be an array. But anyway, it can stay like that. And let's fetch our data. I'm gonna open my chat list component. And right now, instead of those links, we are gonna show our list. To do that, we can use useEffect and make our request, but the better way is using React query. I'm gonna come here, choose the latest version. Let's see how to install. I'm gonna zoom in. I will copy this, open my terminal, and inside the client, I'll say npm install, just like that. And after that, let's see how to use it. As you can see, we are gonna need a query client. And after that, we are gonna wrap our application with this provider and pass our client here. Let's do that. I will copy this, open my root layout, just like that. By the way, we don't need them. And after that, we are gonna wrap our application. Let's copy here and paste. Just like that. I can close here and remove them. We are gonna use them later. And right now, we can fetch our data from the backend. To fetch our data, we are gonna be using useQuery method. Let's come back here. Okay, there's a better example here. As you can see, inside this function, we are gonna pass our query key. You can write here any unique key, and after, when we add a new chat, we can refetch our items using this unique key. And here, we are gonna write our fetch request, and it's gonna return us our data. If there's an error, we can see it. And also, we can use this is pending status. Let's do that. I'm gonna copy here. And inside the chat list, I'm gonna paste. Let's import. And here is gonna be our endpoint. By the way, instead of using this again and again, let's write it inside the env file. And also, when we deploy our application, we can just change here. Just like that. Let's use it. Env, our URL, and here is going to be API and user chats. Let's remember. Okay. And don't forget, we have to pass here our credentials. So right now, I can delete them and I can map through my data here. I'll say data.map. And for each chat insight, return this link. Of course, if it exists. By the way, it should be here. And as you can see, there is a warning here because we are not using the unique key. And it's going to be chat.id. And also I can change here. I'll say dashboard, chats, and the chat ID here. And also I can use them. I'll say if it's loading, right here, loading. And if there's an error, something went wrong. And if it's not, we are gonna see our data. I'm gonna save. Loading. Okay, it's still loading. There is something wrong. Let's open our console. Okay, we cannot read chats. I'm gonna refresh my page. Oh, of course, I forgot writing here await. Let's do it again. And right now our titles are here. Let's change them. I'll say chat.title. Just like that. Okay, this is how we are fetching data. Right now when I click here, as you can see our chat ID is here, and using this ID we can fetch the single chat. So let's create our endpoint. I can close here. I will copy this and paste. And this time it's gonna be chats, and I'm gonna pass here my unique ID. Again, we should be authenticated. And I will say chat, and find one. And here we are gonna find the chat using this ID. ID equals request params.id. And also I'm gonna pass here my user ID. Otherwise we can fetch other users' chat. We don't wanna do this. And finally, we are gonna send our chat here. It's that easy. Let's use it in our chat page. I'm gonna copy this, open my chat page, and paste it here. Let's import. I'll say chat, and I'm gonna pass here the chat ID. But how we are gonna reach this ID? It's really easy. Let's comment this out for now. And I will say const path, use location hook. It comes from React Router DOM. And I will say the path name. And it's gonna give the entire path, but we are gonna need this ID. To do that, we can split our URL using those slashes, and we can take the last item. So I will say const chat ID path, the split method, slash, and if I say pop, it's gonna give me the last item. And right now I can use it here, just like that. So let's do the same thing here. I'm gonna delete them. Data.map for each message. Return this div. We are gonna need a unique ID. Let's write here the index number. And again, I'll say if it's pending, loading. If there is an error, something went wrong, and if everything is okay, we are gonna see the data. And right now, I'm gonna show my text, but remember, we are gonna need this history. And inside, we have the parts, and inside we have the text. And remember, when we get the answer from the AI, it sends a markdown. To make it readable, we are going to be using markdown component. So firstly, I'm going to update here. It's going to be history. And here, I will say markdown that comes from React Markdown and write my message. So it's going to be message.parts. Remember, it's an array. I will take the first one and I will say text. Okay, let's see. We don't need this anymore. Okay, it's not here. Of course, it's going to be chats. I'm going to refresh. Okay, it's not here. Let's console log. Okay. Oh, it's the user chats. That's because I didn't change this unique key. It's going to be chat. And also we are going to pass here our chat ID. Let's see again. And as you can see, our message is here. Okay. And inside we have the role field. Using this role, we can update our message style. If you remember, we have two types, message user and only message. Let's update here. I'll say if message and its role equals user, here is going to be message and user. If not, it's just going to be message. Okay, as you can see, it's still user. And also we can show our images here. If you remember, we can also send images, but it's not required. Let's write it here. I will use React fragments. And I will say if message and image exists, we are going to show our image here. And remember how we are displaying images. ikey image. And we are going to pass here our URL endpoint. Let's remember it's here. And the path will be message.image. I can give my sizes, let's say 300 and 400. And also I can use the transformation. Remember, if you do that, it's going to resize your image so we can see them much faster. Again, 300, 400. And also we can use here lazy loading. And during this process, it will show us the low quality version of our image. So I will say active. And the quality is going to be 20. It's going to be LQ, low quality. And that's all. So right now we can add a new message. But before, let's change our dashboard page. Because remember, we are directly using fetch method. But this time we are going to be using React query and use the mutation function. We are going to pass here our post request. And if it's successful, we are going to refetch our menu list items. Let's do that. I'm going to copy this and paste it here. By the way, we don't need this user ID anymore. Let's import this. And also we are going to need our query client. Just like that. Let's write here our function. We are going to take the text and we are going to return a promise here. And it's going to be this fetch method. Just like that. We don't need the await. And if it's successful, it's going to return the chat ID. Remember, when we create a chat, we are returning this ID. I can take it and I can redirect my users to the chat page. Firstly, I'll say revalidate user chats. Let's see. Okay, let's say user chats. So after adding our data, we are going to refetch that. And after that, I'll say navigate to the chat page. Of course, we are going to need use navigate hook. It comes from React router DOM. And I will say to the dashboard, chats, and the chat ID. And I can update here. API and chats. And right now I can call it here. Mutation, mutate, and we are going to pass here our text. And we will use it here. Okay, let's see again. I'm going to come back. Let's see. I will enter. And as you can see, our item is here, but there is something wrong. Because after fetching, we didn't get the response JSON. So I'll say then response.json. Let's see again. And it's here. Okay, this is how we are mutating data. Right now, we can save our messages. So let's create our endpoint. I'm going to close them, open my index file, and I will create one more endpoint here. And I will say app.put because we are going to update our existing chat. So I will say API, chats, and again, the ID. We should be authenticated. I'll say async request response. Again, I will use try catch and we will need this user ID. So what we are going to do here? If you remember, when we ask any question, the AI answers word by word. So instead of sending every single word, we should wait the completed version of the answer and we should send our question and answer together. And if we have an image, we should also send this. So basically, we are going to need three items here: question, answer, and image. That comes from request and body. And here, I'll say const updated chat, await chat model. I'll say update 1. And again, I'm going to pass here the ID, params.id, and also our user ID. So we can update only our chat. And here, we are going to add a new conversation. Remember, inside the chat model, we have the history, and we are going to pass here our items. the question will be user, the answer will be model. So I will say push history array, and we are going to add here multiple items. So let's make it like that. I will say const new items. It's going to be an array, and I will say role user parts, and the text will be question. And if there's an image, I'm going to show it here. So I can use here a condition. I'll say if there's an image, structure this object, and it's going to be our image. If we don't have, here is going to be empty. And one more, and it's going to be role model parts, and the text will be answer. But there is something important here. If you remember, when we create a new chat, it automatically adds this user message. That means it's already inside our database. After getting the answer from the AI, we are going to send only our answer because it's already inside the DB. In this case, here is going to be conditional also. I'll say if there's a question, send the user message. If not, just empty array. In this case, when we spread this array, it's not going to return anything. That means we are going to send only our model message. So right now, I can use my array here, and I will say each and new items. Basically, it's going to check our array and send every single item inside this history. And finally, we can send our updated chat. So let's create our mutation. I'm going to copy here, open my new prompt, and let's paste it here. We don't need this. I'm going to import. And here is going to be chats and the chat ID. To reach our chat, we can take it from the parent. So let's open up chat page. And I'm going to pass here data, and it's going to be data. Let's take this as a prop. And here is going to be data.id. Here is going to be a put method, and I'm going to write my items here. Firstly, I'll say question, and if it exists, we are going to send it. If not, we are going to send undefined. Just like that. And we are going to send our answer. There is no condition. We will send it anyway. And also image. If db data.file path exists, we are going to send it. If not, undefined. And after that, we can invalidate our chat query here. Remember, its name is chat. And also we are passing here the chat ID. Just like that. And after that, after validating, we can reset our answer and question and image. Let's remove this. So I will say set question is going to be an empty string, set answer, and set image. It's going to be this initial object. Okay. And also you can use here on error. If there's an error, you can set your state or just console log. I just wanted to show you. And here we are getting the answer. We don't have to set our image here anymore. Actually, it's an async function. Let's use try catch. For now, just console log. And here, after getting the response, we can use our mutation. Okay. Let's see again what's gonna happen. When we send a message, we are gonna get the result from the AI, and after that, we are gonna run this function. By the way, we don't need this anymore. And it's gonna update our data in the database, and it's gonna revalidate our single chat. After getting the data, we are not gonna need this question and answer anymore. We are gonna reset them. Let's try. Answer is coming. And after completing, as you can see, they are still here because they are not question and answer. They are coming from our database. Thanks to this revalidation. If I refresh the page, okay, there's something wrong. Our application crashed. Let's open our terminal and let's see what's the problem. Okay, something wrong with this question because here is going to be an array because we are destructuring. Okay, let's do it again. I'm going to refresh. I will ask. By the way, I'm going to reset this input also. Let's refresh again. And as you can see, they are still here because they are in the database right now. Let's refresh. And here we have the answer. What about image? And as you can see, it describes our image and our image is here. Right now, even if I refresh the page, I will keep seeing my image here. Just like that. But it's not scrolling down. Because we don't have our data here. Whenever data changes, it's gonna scroll down. Let's see again. And perfect. Let's reset our input. To do that, I can use one more ref. And it's gonna be form ref. Let's use it inside our form. Just like that. And after the successful operation, we can reset our form. Just like that. As you can see, it's empty. After the answer, it's gone. Okay. And there is one more thing. If I create a new chat, as you can see, there is no answer because we trigger our function only when we submit our form. To prevent this, we can write here a use effect. And I will say, if we have only one message inside the DB, that means it's only the question. So we can generate our answer and send it to our database. Let's write our condition. I'll say if data, history, and length equals 1. That means it's the only question. So we can run our add function and we can pass here our text, data, history, and the first item. We have only one item, parts, first item, and the text. But inside the add function, remember, we are setting our question, but we already have. So let's write here one more parameter is initial. And here is going to be true. And in this case, it's going to be false. And I will say if it's not initial. Okay. But there's a problem here. If I give here an empty array, it's going to run twice because in the main file, we are using strict mode. In production, it's going to run only once. But in the development mode, it's going to run twice. The reason why it's doing that because it tries to find any possible bugs in your effect. But if we are sure that we have a data, there will be no problem. Let's open up our chat page. And I will write here a condition. I will say if there is a data. If it has a one item, it's going to run the add function. If you don't want to run this twice, you can do this. I will just create here a useref. That's a false. And I will say if has run dot current. And I will say has run dot current will be true. In this case, we are sure that we already rendered our component. It's not going to render anymore. Let's write here a note. I'm doing this because this answer changes everything. If it sends only one message, we can directly update our data here, but since we are taking the answer word by word, I want to show this here on my component, and after I'm sending this to my database. This is why I have to use it. Let's try. As you can see, we already have an answer here. Let's create a new chat. And it sends our message. Okay, that's all I think. We have a great homepage. We are protecting our dashboard. We can create a new chat. We can see the existing chats and we can send a new message. So we are ready to deploy our application. I'm gonna terminate my application. As you can see, they are not running anymore. And right now, instead of localhost, we are gonna be using our domain. For this app, I'll be using ai.lama.dev. And also, I will use the same domain for my backend server. So when we visit this page, we are gonna see the React app. But for the API endpoint, we are gonna run our backend server. Let's change our domain and after, we are gonna handle that. Firstly, I'm gonna come here, backend env, and I will say client URL. Just like that. Let's open up the index file. Close here. Oh, we are already using client URL. Okay, it's here. Right now, I'm gonna remove this. I'll save. We don't need this. Let me check. We can get rid of here. Okay, we are not using localhost. I can save. And let's open up the client env. And again, here is gonna be our domain, just like that. I'm not gonna write API because remember, inside our components, we are already using this endpoint. By the way, I forgot to change this history. Instead of them, we are gonna pass the history from the database. So I can remove, and I will say data.history. But remember, we can also pass here image, but Gemini doesn't accept image. We can send only role and parts. So I should get rid of that image. So I will say map, take roles and parts. In this case, we are going to eliminate images and we are going to return role. And inside the parts, we have only text. So I will say text equals parts, the first item and text. Okay, right now our model is going to remember the latest conversation. Okay, I can close here. And right now I'm going to create one more request. We will use all these endpoints, this API endpoint. And for the rest of the endpoints, we are going to be using our React app. So I'll say app get all requests, request response. And right now we are going to send our index file. This index HTML. To do that, I will say response send file client index.html. But we cannot directly send it like that. Firstly, we should create our path and define our directory name. To do that, we are going to need two libraries. I will open my terminal, Backend, and I will say npm install path and URL. Let's install and let's import them. I can close here. I will say path and URL. Let's define our directory name. You don't have to memorize here. This is necessary because we are using module types. So firstly, we have to define our directory name, and after that, we will be able to define our static files. So I'm gonna copy this. And I will say app.use express static path.join directory name and our client folder. Remember, it's here, so I will say client, and again, I will pass it here. And also, we are gonna need our index file. Because when we build our React app, we are gonna need this index. Right now, our application is ready. So let's create a Node.js application in our VPS server and deploy our app. So let's open our panel, and I'm gonna click here, and it's gonna open up the cloud panel. Let's log in. Remember, we defined username and password at the beginning of the video. So I will create my Node.js application and my domain name. Our application is going to run on this port number, so I'm not going to change it. And our site username is Lama AI. We are going to use it. At this point, make sure that you change the DNS of your domain. It should be your server IP address, and it's ready. Right now, we can install SSL certificate. I'll click here and install. Right now, we are going to be using the HTTPS connection, and we are ready to deploy our app. To do that, you can directly use File Manager. and upload all your files inside htdoc and your website. But I recommend you use your GitHub repository. So when you make any changes, you can directly pull your repository from the GitHub. I created a GitHub repository and I'm going to add my applications here. But remember, we are using env files, so make sure that they are inside the git ignore file. For the React application, we already have it. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing for the backend. So we are not going to install Node modules or env. Right now I can open my terminal, the root folder, and I'll say git init. I'm going to add all my files. Let's write a commit. It's not important. I'll say git branch and the main branch, and let's push it to our repository. Git remote, add origin and your repository URL, and finally git push origin and the branch name. Let's see. I'm gonna refresh. As you can see, they are here. And our env is not here or here. Okay, right now using this repository, I can download my files. To do that, I should be connected to my VPS server. To do that, I'm gonna come here, find the settings, and here I'm gonna add my SSH key. To do that, let's open up our terminal and I'm gonna create a new key. Just like that. I'm gonna save. And right now I'm gonna copy my SSH key using this command. You can find them in the description, by the way. You don't have to memorize. And right now I'm gonna add it to my server. Let's give a name and paste it here. As you can see, our key is here. I will add. It's gonna take a while. Right after that, we will be able to connect to VPS. Okay, let's come back. And here, as you can see, this is how we are gonna connect to our database. I'm gonna copy this. Let's clear. And I will paste. I'll say yes. And we are connected. Right now, I'm gonna try to find my website directory. Remember, our site user is Lama AI. So firstly, I'll say sudo su Lama AI, and I will open the root folder just like that. And let's see what we have inside. As you can see, our folder is here. If I open up, and this is where we are going to upload our files. And right now I'm going to be using git and clone my repository. Since we created Node.js application here, we don't need to install Node.js, we don't need to install git. Everything is ready to use. So I will say git clone and the URL, and I will say dot and enter. Let's see what we have inside. As you can see, our folders are here. And let's open up our backend. And I'm gonna install my dependencies. So I'll say npm install. And I can do the same thing for the client. Npm install. And remember, since we are using React 19 and it's not stable, I'm gonna use the force flag. And I'm gonna build my application. Let's see what we have inside. As you can see, this is our build folder. Remember, inside index.js, we set client, but also we should write here the build folder, just like that. So we can do this here. I will come back. Okay, it's not server, backend. And right now I'm gonna change my index file. To do that, we can use nano and the file name. So let's scroll down. And I'm gonna change here. Just like that. I'll say Ctrl X, Y, and enter. I can do the same thing for the env file. I'm gonna come here, copy everything, and paste here. I'm gonna save. And let's do the same thing for the client. Let's find our file, copy and paste. I will save. And since we make changes, I have to build again. And let's run our backend server. I will say npm start. And as you can see, connected to MongoDB. Let's try. I'm gonna open my domain. As you can see, our app is here. I will start. Login. And perfect. This is how we deploy our applications. But there is something important here. If I close my terminal, it's not gonna work anymore. To prevent this, we are gonna be using pm2. I will kill this process and I will say npm install pm2. And I will say pm2 start npm. I can give any name here. Let's say AI app. And I will say start. And our application works. If I say pm2 and save, even if I close my terminal, our application will work. Let's try. I'm gonna refresh and we are gonna see here. Just like that. Okay. This is how we deploy our applications using a VPS server. Let me open this URL and as you can see, our connection is secure. Okay, that's all guys. I hope you liked it. If you learned something new today, please like the video. Don't forget to follow Lama Dev's social media accounts. I hope I'll see you in the next tutorial. Goodbye.